Welcome to episode 12 of the Mile 20 podcast, where epic shit happens. I'm Lori, and I'm here with my bestie.
Hello, lovey.
Hello, Laura. Today, we will be discussing bears.
Bears? Oh, no.
No, that doesn't even sound right, but that's okay.
How does a bear go?
What does a bear say?
Ding, 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 ding. No, wait, that's a fox. Okay.
Wildfires.
Uh-oh.
And hail.
Oh, this sounds like a scary episode.
It could be.
Bears and wildfires
but we
and
survived.
hail. We did survive.
It's good news.
Yes.
We survived to tell the tale.
We did.
Yes. We have a very cool beverage of the week. We have the Epic Week update coming up.
Yep.
Then we'll dive into discussing the Two Bears Marathon.
Yes.
And then tease the Rock and Roll Savannah Marathon, which I'm not even sure that Rock and Roll has a Savannah Marathon anymore. I think it might be a half, but we'll digress to that later. And please, thank you to everybody who has been tuning into us. And please check us out on our socials, Instagram, Facebook, Mile 20 Podcast, YouTube, subscribe.
Can I do the used car salesman thing?
Yes, yes.
Subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, there we go. So, Laura, maybe you should talk about our beverage of the week.
Yeah. So one of the places when we were in Whitefish, Montana, because that's where the Two Bears Marathon is held, we went to this fabulous rooftop bar. And the rooftop bar overlooked like this snow-capped mountain. It was it was spectacular. So you had the snow-capped mountain in front of us. To the left, you had Whitefish Lake, and you could see parts of the town. And it just had that like Montana, northwestern rugged feeling.
Yeah.
And so one of the drinks that between you and I had was called a huckleberry lemonade.
Yeah.
So we have huckleberry lemonades.
Delicious.
Tonight. So, yes.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Thank you for making them. Laura made them today.
And the one thing that I learned is that huckleberries are really prolific especially up in the northwest. So Idaho,
Yes.
Montana,
even up into
Washington.
the northwest. Yeah.
Yes,
Washington.
right? Yeah. And so I know one of the things before we drink our beverage, I know one of the things that you and I absolutely love doing.
Yes.
You know what I'm going to go after?
I'm assuming it's the chapstick.
It's the chapstick.
I love my huckleberry chapstick.
So every time Lori and I go to one of the national parks when we're up in the Northwest, like they sell this huckleberry flavored chapstick.
Yeah, I stock up.
And I'll buy like at least 4 or 5 of them. And,
Yes.
And I know you said a couple months ago, you're like, yeah, I know when it's time when I need to go back to the Northwest when I run out of my chapstick.
Absolutely. You have to go. I just need to go and get more chapstick.
Absolutely. So we are cheersing. Cheers. Is that what it says? Cheersing? We're cheering. We're cheersing.
We're saluting.
We're saluting. I don't know what we're doing, but
what are we doing? We're clinking.
That's good.
That's it. The longer it muddles, the better it's getting, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally.
Yeah.
You could taste the elderflower in that.
Yeah, that's delicious.
I really like that. Okay.
Should we post that recipe?
I can post the recipe. I actually had a dial a friend. My daughter loves making cocktails, as we all know.
Yes.
And so
she's very good at it.
So I mean, the restaurant showed like what the main ingredients were, but I'm like, shit, like what parts do I do of this, and do I put something sweet in it? Do I put club soda in it? So yeah, she was still working at like 6:30 tonight, and I called her and I was like, hey, I need help.
Thank you, Maddie.
So thank you, Maddie.
We appreciate it.
All right, so what have you been up to the past couple of days?
Oh gosh, I forgot my cheat sheet, didn't I? Nope, I got it right here.
Yay.
So today...
Anybody give you the middle finger this week?
No middle fingers this week.
Damn it.
I tell you, it might be
I was
my
so
week.
looking forward to hearing about some other 70-year-old lady that flipped you off.
No, but so I was sad. I was sad Val Kilmer died.
Yeah.
I saw that this week. Made me sad. I feel like that was...
Always the Iceman.
Iceman, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the...
Rest in peace, my man.
I mean, that's like, you know, like the heart of like our
generation.
Our
the
generation.
Original Top Gun.
Yes, I totally agree.
The original sexy beach scene with playing volleyball.
You lost that love and feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was sad about that for a little bit.
Yeah.
DJ's birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday, DJ.
Happy birthday, DJ.
Yes, he turned 22, and
it's crazy.
He was excited because the Dodgers are in town. He's a Phillies fan, and of course, Shohei Ohtani is going to be one of the greats. So I was able to get us tickets. Dave was out of town, so me and the kids went to the Phils game to be able to watch the Phils.
Was it cold?
It was chilly, but I was dressed appropriately. Ella was not dressed appropriately, but she's also 17. And you got to learn those lessons at some point.
You learn it the hard way, unfortunately. Yep.
But we wound up scoring on SeatGeek these really great seats for pretty inexpensively. And it turns out just by stroke of luck, we were undercover because it did rain a little bit.
Oh, nice. Good job.
Yesterday, it was like a cold rain because it was like in the mid to upper 50s, I think. So the seats were great, and the game was great because we wound up beating the Dodgers 8-7, and then we won the series 2-3, which I think is great.
It didn't who was it? Castellanos hit a grand slam, right?
A grand slam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it sounded so sweet when
like
you heard
crack.
it crack, and then it just went, and everybody were on their feet cheering. It was amazing.
I love those.
Yeah, it was a great game. And then today I took Ella out to Penn State because she's wanting to entertain taking her horse out to college with her.
How's the barn?
It was nice. It's different than where we are.
Yeah.
She's kind of in a very bougie place now. We didn't start at a bougie place, but now we're at a bougie place.
So now the bar is at a different level.
Yeah, but she knows too.
Okay.
Like I think the trainer makes the place. Like it's a family run place. Like her parents, it was an old dairy farm that they've converted to a horse farm.
Okay.
And they've been there. It's like second generation horse trainer type thing. Her mom. And anyway, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. And they're big. I mean, she trains the equestrian team for Penn State.
Oh, nice.
For the club.
Okay.
So
is that where they keep the horses there for the club as well?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So they do everything in and out of that barn. So it was great. Ella's excited to go to Penn State in the fall. She was excited, got the pictures taken with the Nittany Lion today, and drove by Old Main, and it was great. So it was a good day. But I was disappointed this week, and then I'll move on, that my little scheme, we're going to have to figure something out for Broad Street. Because I decided, I'm like, maybe I should check what the restrictions are for Broad Street. And it does say no hydration packs, no backpacks.
Yeah, and I know I texted you and Maggie the other day, and I was like, fuck the rules. But I know you don't want to have it like taken away or us not being able to go and get entry.
My thought was maybe we have Dave wait at mile 1 or somebody at mile 1 with the hydration pack. And so then we can stop at the first one. I can pick it up.
Because they can't stop us then after that, right?
Unless they're looking for us.
Well,
Why
but
would
there's
they?
like thousands and thousands of people.
And we're already through security. And then if they're close to the finish, I can pass it off before we finish.
That's brilliant.
Too.
That's brilliant.
So that was my thought.
That's brilliant.
You think that'll work?
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Or do they make like little sippy cup, like little pouches of wine? We could just pin them to our bodies. And we could be like like running around. No? Okay.
Yeah, let's entertain that so that we can entertain. I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say we'll see.
I do like
I just like the visual of having the bottle in the bag and pulling it
yes,
out.
I do.
I don't know why.
I do. And I have those wine glasses.
Perfect.
That look, but they're not real glasses. They're for the hot tub because Jim won't let me have glass in the hot tub because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But so I bought these sippy cups, but on the inside of the sippy cup, it has a plastic wine glass.
Perfect.
Right?
Yes.
And then we could just carry those and okay.
Yep.
All right. Deal.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
You had a much more exciting weekend than I did.
I had a really nice week. Last week I mentioned that I was going to my college reunion this weekend, but it wasn't like a full out college reunion. It was just with the girls in my graduating class at West Point. So there were 100 of us. that graduated. So it makes the math kind of easy when there's 2 of us together. It's like, oh, 2% of the girls are together. When there's 5 of us, it's like 5%. There were 22 of us. So
Wow.
22% of our female graduating class came to the event. It was located in Palm Springs, California. So I had never been there before.
How do you guys decide on the location of those? Because I know you've done a couple now.
Yeah. So like, for example, at the very end of our trip, we were all sitting around on Saturday night. And Jen Voicechild, she's kind of like our mama bear of the group. She's actually the West Point historian as well.
Oh, well, that makes it easy.
Yeah, she was in the pool. I just hit the microphone. She was in the pool, and she just remembered that there were like 7 Jens in our class. And we're like, how the hell do you know that crap?
Yeah.
It's remarkable. But she's the coordinator of most of the events. I mean, we all weigh in some form or fashion, but before everybody departed for the evening, kind of going to bed, she had her phone out and she's like, all right, girls, like start rattling off places that we could potentially look at for next year. And what we try to do is, because we're not only all over the country, but we're kind of all over the world too.
Yeah, I believe that.
Like one of the girls, Katie Mobley, who she came in from, you met Katie out in Hawaii.
Oh, I did.
Yes.
Oh, so she came in from Hawaii.
Yeah, she was in my cabin
Hi,
8.
Katie.
And
that's cool.
Yeah. So it was really neat. But I came in early because the reunion didn't start until Thursday night. Check-in was at Thursday night. So I came in on Tuesday and then went to the Joshua Tree National Park with one of my classmates, Marianne Hawk. Marianne and I put out on Facebook, hey, anybody who's interested and wants to join me, I'm going to Joshua Tree because we're both, you and I both junkies for a national park.
Right. And if you're going to go all the way out there, you
Absolutely.
might as well get a little something out of it.
And it was only like an hour drive, so it was not hateful at all. And Marianne hit me up. So Marianne and I knew of each other, but I don't think we've probably ever spoken any words to each other, at school. And so it was so funny. She checked into the hotel early on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I didn't get in until maybe 11:30 at night. So she was already asleep in our room. And the rooms only had king size beds. So I'm like, well, if you're okay, like sharing a bed with me, like I'm totally fine with that. So it was so funny because like I crawl into bed, right? And then in the morning we both wake up and we're like, hey, like, just giving each other hugs. It was like just for a very short period of time, very, very awkward.
Right,
but then it wasn't,
Yeah.
But it was great getting to know her. I have to say, and you and I were talking about this earlier, it did feel really weird being in a national park without you because, that's our jam.
That is
so
our jam.
I will take one for the team and totally go back to Joshua Tree with you.
Yes.
And it was a cool park. I'm glad that I went. Very, very unique.
The pictures looked beautiful.
It was a nice day. Usually Joshua Tree is excruciatingly hot.
Yeah.
And it was a high of 56 degrees
Yeah,
when we
you
went.
looked like you had a hat on, so it looked cooler.
I did. When we got to one of the highest peaks at Key View, it said 46 degrees on my car, but with the wind, and the wind was whipping. It was much, much colder.
Oh, wow.
We did see 2 coyotes in our cars. Or in the car, which was cool. I mean, they look like dogs.
Yeah.
But they were kind of scrounging around in the parking lot. So I would imagine that some stupid people probably feed them.
Oh,
and
I hope not.
which just kind of makes it dangerous for them and for people, you know, as well. But they skedaddled off, didn't bother us at all. So that was our big wildlife, because there's not a lot out there in the desert. And then we stayed in Palm Springs. And we were in a dude ranch called the Lazy Sea Ranch, maybe about 15 minutes outside of Palm Springs. So it was still a Palm Springs address. I would not recommend the ranch to anyone. I'm just going to be very politically correct. It was a little rundown. It was a lot rundown. But we as West Point women, we rallied.
You're industrious as hell.
We freaking had a blast. We have a lot of memories, like fantastic memories that were formed. Friday night, with one of my friends, Nicole, her and I, started playing music. Which, by the way, I found out that she knows the Curtis Blow basketball rap too. I have a video of it.
Boy.
That I So we
Yes,
were
I need to see this video.
right.
Yes.
And so we were both singing the basketball rap together.
Yes, this is Laura's claim to fame.
It is.
I can't tell you how many times on long runs I've had to listen to her rap that in full.
I know basketball is my favorite sport. I like it with the dribbles
Just
up
like
and down
this.
the court. I'm not
Here
going to go
she
through the whole
goes.
thing, but we did start singing that, and we were like, "Holy shit!" So then we just started playing music while everybody was eating dinner. So we were like the entertainment. That's why my voice is a little like kind of like gravelly right now.
Yeah, you got party girl voice.
Yeah, I might have been singing like, Sweet Caroline and, Journey's Don't Stop Believin' and
all the good stuff.
And then her and I just started dancing. We like had like our own little 2-person mosh pit for about like, I don't know, maybe like two hours.
That's awesome.
I think I got in probably
that.
about 4,000 or 5,000 steps, while we were dancing. But, we went downtown Palm Springs, got to see where Marilyn Monroe used to live, and Frank Sinatra. We hit a Rat Pack bar where they had I don't know, these tunnels that
Is it a speakeasy?
No, it wasn't a
Because they
speakeasy.
never outlawed alcohol
Well,
there,
they
right?
did because they have actually tunnels where they used to go and bring the alcohol in.
Okay.
And so, when one of the bartenders told me about it, I went exploring, and I'm like opening up like crap and stuff in the walls, and it was cool. I got a picture of it. It's like kind of all jammed up with crap now, but yeah. And then they have like tunnels underneath the parts of bars to be able to go in the past, like shuffle out movie stars when they didn't want to go and be bothered by paparazzi.
Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah. So I'm glad I went to Palm Springs. If you decide you want to go to Joshua Tree, I will totally take one for the team and go back to Palm Springs. We will not be staying at the Lazy Sea Ranch. No. But in Palm Springs, it was nice. Maybe not necessarily my jam, but it was. It's always cool to go and experience someplace and
Any
check
cool
it out.
Eateries? I mean, I know you mentioned the bar.
Elmer's. I have totally followed your lead. When Lorri and I travel, my friend here is not only obsessed with finding the best pizza place, but the best breakfast place.
Ooh,
And
breakfast.
they served these big, huge, like, I don't know, they're like German potato pancakes. They're like these big fluff. Somebody akined it to was it like some kind of like pudding that they make in England, Yorkshire pudding. So it's like this pudding that like rises, but these things were gigantic. They were bigger than a dinner plate, and I obviously could not have them because they did not make them gluten free. But the place that we stayed at, the Avalon Hotel, which is it's like one of the signature Marriott resorts, I did have. And I will proclaim this, I did have the best avocado toast breakfast I've ever had in my entire life.
Really?
Yes, they had pickled radishes on it with this kind of like, they had it with tomatoes and this like herb vinaigrette, but they were like kind of, I think they were marinated in it, but it wasn't it wasn't heavy dressing on the plate. And gluten-free toast, and the avocados were just ridiculously fresh with an egg on top. Girl, like it was
good.
It was
How is that
top-notch.
property?
It was nice. It definitely is like old school Hollywood. But
is it maintained pretty well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there were several bachelorette parties that were there. A lot of couples that were there, and the rooms are really big. Which was fantastic,
nice. Yeah.
And their sister property, was where they had this the speakeasy bar that we went to. So not a speakeasy bar, but the Rat Pack bar. Yeah. So I got back last night, and totally worth it. And again,
awesome.
Shout out to my West Point gals because I absolutely love them. And every time I go to another reunion, I think that's like the 4th or 5th one that I've gone to. We've only done them for like 4 or 5 years. I think this was our 5th one, but I've been to 4 of them. And, I don't know. I connect with somebody else like on a deeper level, and it's just good stuff. So I feel really blessed in that regard.
Yeah, you should be because it's kind of rare.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think because you were at West Point and you were a group of women, I think you have a special bonding thing. I mean, I was in a sorority, and yes, there were some get-togethers, but it could be me too because I'm very much I don't know. I float around, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
feel like I have my friends, but I don't have a large group. Like we don't
Yeah.
get together like that. I think they do in Florida locally.
Yeah.
But like it takes an act of God for me to put something like that down and get down to Florida and
Yeah. Oh, totally
down.
get it. Yeah.
I am burnt. Like the
Yeah.
alcohol is hitting me.
Yeah, girl.
And I'm just red, and I barely have had anything.
No, there's a couple types of alcohol in there.
I am
Thank you,
bright
Maddie.
red. Jeez, Maddie.
All right, so let's get into talking about Two Bears. It's
Yes.
like one of my favorite races for a multitude of
God.
different reasons.
Yes, and I do want to kind of set the table
Yeah.
for what was going on here because this was the beginning of the 2018 race season. So I believe we did 5. You did 6.
Yeah.
I think we did, and I might get this wrong, 2 Bears. You did Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
We did, I know Tulsa and Outer Banks and Tulsa were in there.
Maybe we throw in a Philly in 2018.
Maybe Philly.
Yeah, it was a busy season.
Yeah,
I thought 2017 was busy, and then we hit it in 18. It was like, oh, okay.
I think we were picking up traction at this point.
We were.
So like this was the beginning of a very busy season.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm falling over my words right now.
So you're tired just like thinking about it. That's what it was.
I am. And so like the way I was approaching this with Dave was like, hey babe, here's our race calendar. If there's anything, any state, any place you want to go to, star it and then, you come.
Right.
Right. So Dave and I flew out on the 13th, the day before you. I think we went out to Bonsai Brewing, which was a little brewery just north of town.
Okay.
Had some great brews there. It's delicious. I can't remember where we had dinner that night. I think we went to the Remington Bar. And at the time, I feel like they had this delicious burrito on the menu because I think we went there twice because it was so good.
Is that the place I went with you guys?
Yes.
Because they had this
bar
they had this
with
ridiculous like Mexican street corn.
Yes.
Oh my god!
I forgot about the street corn.
Oh my god!
Yes,
Yeah,
but I don't think they have any of that in the menu right now.
They do. They do, but they didn't call it Mexican street corn. They called it something like I don't
like
even know.
elote? Because I think it's called elote.
Yeah, I called it like some kind Caribbean grilled corn or something like that. But it's Mexican street corn.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was delicious because I know you guys were like talking about like was Dave's corn better than like the corn that we had at that restaurant?
Yes, I remember that because
Yes.
Dave does make a hella Mexican street corn.
And that was the first time I had ever had Mexican street corn.
Yeah.
So I really didn't have anything to base it on. So I was like, well, Dave, this is better because I haven't had yours yet.
Yes. Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
So then we got up the next morning before you got there.
Yep.
And we decided to start venturing into Glacier because when you go to Whitefish, Glacier is super close. Like that's why you choose this race.
Totally why.
It's a destination race, and Glacier, it's really at the footsteps of Glacier, and it's just anyway. I've been to a lot of national parks, and I will tell you that Glacier is up there.
Oh, it's
way
way up there for me as well.
Maybe number 1.
Yes.
It might be number 1. But I haven't seen them all, so
Yes.
I reserve that.
It's my number 1 of what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we decided to get up that morning and do the Grinnell Glacier Trail, which is on the east side of the park. And at the time, which we'll get into in a little bit, the going to the Sun Road was closed. So you couldn't drive through the park. We had to go around the park. So it took us a while to get there. And it's a great trail, relatively easy. I mean, you do climb up. There's elevation getting up to the glacier, but it wasn't bad. And you do get up there and you're like in the saddle, with the beautiful blue glacial lake, and it was all sparkly. It was really cool because we started and we're like, the weather's not great. It was overcast, kind of misty. But as we continued to climb up, all of that burned off, and so it was kind of
because that seems like the natural kind of weather pattern.
So
there.
it's kind of like an unveiling. Like slowly as the morning progressed, you wound up with these crazy, beautiful views in the snow-capped mountains with the glaciers. They're very small, unfortunately, because of the changing of the climate and everything warming up. The glaciers are getting smaller. So unfortunately, at some point, Glacier National Park is not going to have many glaciers. But we did get to see Grinnell Glacier. The hike out was interesting. Yeah, we had a bit of a time of it. The way that the trail is kind of situated in the mountains, it's an out and back, but you've got a cliff on one side, a little bit of a plateau with where the trail is, and then it kind of drops down. And I'd say, depending on where you are in the trail, how far that plateau extends out, could be 100 feet, 200 feet, whatever. Right. Wasn't like that the whole time, but where we were at the time, that's where we were. And there was a little bit of a turn or bend, and we were hiking. There was tons of people when we were at the top. We saw tour groups of like 20 people.
It's a very popular trail.
Very popular trail. Lots of activity. Yeah. But at the time when we were hiking out, it was just kind of like Dave and I by ourselves, which was lovely.
Which I love that. When you're not, it's not like, everybody's on the trail with you, and you get a little bit of like, peace, and yes. you feel like you're the only two that are in that space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until we hear somebody yell, "Bear!"
Oh, no, bear! No, bear! There's a video about that.
Yes, we'll get to that when we talk about Alaska.
Yeah.
But and I kind of looked down to my right, and about anywhere between 20, maybe 30 feet away down to my right, I hear oof, oof, oof. And there's a mom, grizzly, and 3 cubs.
And she was making her way up the
coming
mountain.
Towards us. And we were kind of on the bend, and as we came around the bend, so the bears are down to our right, Dave's kind of behind me, and then there's a group of like 5 or 6 people that are just a little bit up the path, turned around, videoing back because they were videoing the bears, and then we kind of came around, and they're like, "Oh shit, there's people, there's bears." So they're like, come here, and I'm like, you get that, do I run, don't run, you're not supposed to run, what should I do? Dave,
you're not supposed to run when you see a grizzly bear,
because it's a predator prey response. Yes. And Dave takes off, and I'm like,
Dave's like, "I'm gonna leave Lorri, I'm gonna run."
I'm like, fuck.
Like a great spouse. Good job, Dave.
Yeah, and I just kind of like,
and then he pulls out his freaking phone and starts recording.
Yeah, because that's the first thing I think of is that we're going to record this. But, we get to safety with the group of people we're with, and Dave is videoing, and you see the 3 cubs and the mama pop up onto the trail right at the spot that we had just been standing about 20 seconds prior, and starts tootling down the trail back around the bend where
but not towards you guys,
not
towards the
us.
direction where you had just come.
Yes. And so we're like, holy shit. Like
there's people on the trail.
There's people on the trail.
Yeah.
So we start screaming, "Bear, bear." And I don't know how that played out ultimately. But
good thing that you didn't go back down the trail.
Yeah. No. That we left that alone. But it was like a very amped up. My adrenaline was in full force. I felt like I was seeing, my life flash before my eyes a little bit. But she was very relaxed. Very cool about it, and I was shocked, but I'm assuming that a bear in that area is probably habituated to having people around a lot, so maybe that's why she knew we were probably harmless.
And they will still attack if they feel like they're threatened or or there's any kind of danger to their cubs as well.
I think she was picking up our vibe, like, "Oh, okay, you're coming. Yeah. Let us get out of your way."
Yeah, we're going to get out of your way as well.
Yeah, I think she picked up on that. But we were pretty much riding high on adrenaline. The rest of the hike was relatively fine. We did see some fresh bear scat,
which is poop for those of you who don't hike or backpack. It's just a nice way of saying animal poop.
Yes,
it's
poop.
Scat.
Yes. I think maybe we saw one other bear, like when we were at the car, but like from way far away.
Which is where I prefer to go and see bears from.
Far away.
Yes.
Far. Oh, look at the bear way over there.
Yes. Let me get my binoculars out so I can go see the bear way over there.
Yeah. Yes.
Over there.
Yeah. And then we drove all the way back around with the Going to the Sun Road closed back to the Airbnb. And then that's where we connected with you.
Yeah. And so you guys had been in the car for like an hour and a half, maybe like, I don't even know how much longer you had on the trail coming back. You both were like freaking wired.
Yeah.
Like, because I got into the Airbnb. I was maybe there for like 2 hours before you guys got there. And, you kept texting like, "Hey, we're going to be there for, for dinner and stuff." So I was like, fine. I think I went to the liquor store, got myself a bottle of wine. I'm like, I'm going to chill because that freaking Airbnb is freaking sweet. And you guys came in the door and you were like, "Ooh, ooh."
Oh my God, you won't believe what just happened to us.
I couldn't even imagine what the adrenaline level was when you actually again, 20, 30 feet away. And then, of course your husband, he rips out you want to see the video? I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll post the video.
Yeah.
Post the video. I actually got a much better quality. I've been living with this terrible quality of a video for years that he texted me. And then it occurred to me the other day, because Ella's always like, send me my riding videos, and then she'd be like, don't text me, airdrop them because the quality's better. So I finally was like, Dave, can I see that video again? And I airdropped it to me. And now I have this stellar quality video of the bears.
It was grainy.
Really grainy.
The one that he showed. Okay, fantastic.
I've got a great quality video.
Fantastic. Yeah. So the Airbnb that we stayed in downtown Whitefish, Montana.
I take credit for this. I will.
Totally.
I will do it.
You did the bomb, man. That place was freaking sweet.
It was modern Western, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah, like the attention to detail on the
impeccable.
On the interior. Oh,
dogs needs to be let out.
It's time to let the dogs out.
We just need to let that in because y'all, every time we record on Monday nights, that freaking shit goes off at 9:00 at night every single time we record. So we're going to keep it in this episode, bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. Give me a drink.
That's what she wakes up to.
Cheers. Muzzle tough.
Muzzle tough. Yeah, our asshole dog barks after 9:00, and we have a neighbor that wakes up early. So 9:00's last let out, and I try not to forget it. So I set my alarm, and I forget to turn it off.
She's at our house right now, so there's no letting the dog back in when she's at the house. So I'm glad the alarm goes off every single Monday night at 9:00.
It goes off every night at 9:00. Every night.
But I don't know this. It goes off on Monday nights at 9:00.
Anyway,
we're gonna keep that crap in.
Airbnb. I'm asking Maggie to post the Airbnb link.
You need to, yes.
Because if you decide to go to Glacier, highly recommend staying in Whitefish. And I highly recommend downtown.
Yes.
And this Airbnb I know Whitefish is known for their skiing. I don't know how good it is. I just know that they have this ski resort there. So it is also a ski town, but I feel like it's great for a base camp for exploring Glacier. They have lockers in the common area.
The common area for all the apartments was so fabulous.
Amazing.
They had a fireplace and a big TV.
Yes.
And,
I sat out there the night before the marathon and tweaked the.
You did. You worked on the playlist for ever the night before.
Yes.
Yeah. That place was sweet. So I would totally go back just to Whitefish just to go and stay at the Airbnb.
Yeah.
And it's within walking distance of everything downtown. So you can just walk right from.
And I feel like we had parking too, or it was really easy to park.
It was very easy to park.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was great.
Yes. No, you scored good on that one.
Yeah.
That was hard because when you land a really, really great place to go and stay, everything's kind of compared to that. It's compared to that. It's compared to that,
And I do a lot of Airbnbs, and it's probably one of my top 10 favorites.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And wasn't like a break the bank place, it was.
It was a little.
Well, it was, but we split it up. So,
yeah.
And then the weather in September. So again, this was September 16th of 2018. It was. You gotta respect Montana weather because that crap can go and change in an instant.
It's mountain weather for sure.
Yeah. So we
I called it bipolar.
Yeah, because
bipolar weather.
It is. It definitely is. And when we started the race, it was a nice 50 degrees. Mm-hmm. Got up to maybe a high of 60 something, low 60s, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean. We'll talk in a little. Well, I guess we can talk about it now. We experienced hail.
Oh yeah.
In the middle of the race, it was before the halfway point. I think
it was right at the halfway point.
Oh, that's
right. Because we were right back in town.
We were back in town
at the train depot.
That's
area.
right. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Good call.
No. So when we started, it was kind of nice, and I remember we were running. So why don't we go through we'll go through a little bit.
Let's go through the course, and then
we have so much to dive into. We're going to be bebopping all over the place.
So much content for this race.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the course has changed. So several things have changed. We changed
the name.
Seasons. The name's changed. So it's Whitefish Marathon now. Almost the same course, but the course has tweaked a little bit since 2021, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And the season changed. We ran in September. It's now in May. I'm sure it's why there's been an uptick in the attendance, which
sure.
good for them.
Yes.
I think it's wonderful.
It was a good call. Yeah.
It starts right in downtown at Depot Park, which is beautiful. Which I don't even think I had that in our notes. I'm just remembering that off the top of our head.
You wrote Depot Park.
I did?
Yeah, you did, man. You go, girl.
I did these notes like a week ago.
Yeah,
so.
no, you did good on this one with the course.
And for us, and it's the same now, you kind of like start in town and then you make your way. There's like a big kind of lollipop loop.
And went through a very heavy residential area.
Yeah.
And then we went through that like one little nature area where we started singing, what do you call it? What's the damn song that we both love?
Which one? Which one? The one song we both love.
About Shit Crazy.
Oh, Batshit Crazy.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not getting Jackson Hole?
Nope.
Because we were in that tunnel in Jackson Hole. No,
we were not in a
trip.
tunnel. We were on a nature trail, and I remember that's the first time that
I could have sworn that was Jackson Hole.
Yeah, no, that was this race.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember that.
Okay.
Because then when the hail came, I remember thinking in my head, we are batshit freaking crazy.
But when you're on that lollipop loop, I can remember the sun was rising over the mountains.
Yes, we have a beautiful picture of the two of us with the sun rising behind us.
And we're kind of in the middle of like these little homesteads and stuff. There was like some
cute little
farms.
like, mountain homes. It was just,
So we ran out and around, and then when we came back into town after the little lollipop loop, that was the halfway point. So as we were doing that lollipop loop, we have sunshine, the sun's rising, there's clouds, it's sprinkling, then the sun would come out, and then it would sprinkle again. And then, was there thunder or was it just hail? I can't remember if there was any thunder.
It was just hail.
It was just hail.
It was just hail.
Yeah, we start running.
But it was big
near the
hail.
half. Yeah, and we're like, oh
like,
my
what
God.
the hell is that?
What the hell is this?
We're like, holy shit, it's hailing.
So Laura and I are literally run to this little ass bush. And I mean little bush. I mean, this bush couldn't have been taller than me, 5 foot tall.
So
and we're
tiny.
like trying to hide underneath this bush to get some shelter from the hail.
I think
pelting us.
I have a picture of you underneath the bush and then like the hailstones like all around the thing. Yeah, so that's the one and only time we've ever been hailed on.
Yeah.
In a
that hurts.
It hurt bad.
That hurt bad.
Yeah, that hurt bad.
I mean, thank God it wasn't any bigger.
And I want to say like we probably hung out underneath there for at least like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. And I'm thinking we were right there close to town. Could we not have found a better place to hide other
Complete
than this
dumbasses.
little
We're like,
bush?
this bush is going to help us. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then the lollipop, just to add to that, there were a lot of spots, kind of like we went back and forth over the Whitefish River. So a lot of bridges where
I didn't see that on the map.
Yeah.
Was there?
Yeah. We crossed over. I have pictures of it. It happened. It was real.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, we crossed over the
Old
Whitefish.
age sucks.
I know.
With your memory.
It's okay. I didn't remember it until I was looking at the pictures early this morning. I was like, we crossed over the
'Cause
Whitefish River a couple times.
Because I didn't see those pictures on your Facebook page, which I look at. That's my cheat sheet.
I know. These things jar the memory.
You did a fabulous job of documenting on Facebook, your personal Facebook.
Yeah.
Our journey. So it's easy to look that up.
Yeah, no, it definitely helps.
Yeah. So we went the second half of the race.
Right.
We kind of went north of town through a neighborhood.
Yep.
And then we hit East Lakeshore Drive.
Right. We popped out on that road that just went on
and
forever.
on. And I feel like we were like, all by myself, don't want to be.
Yeah, dude, that was lonely.
I think we're alone now.
But we did have the chaser car behind us for a period of time because you and I were number 52 and 53 of the 53 people that were in the race.
Yeah. No, 51 and 52.
No, we were at the time.
At the time. Yeah. You're right.
Do you remember Do you remember that one bitch that cheated on the course? Do you remember she didn't go all the way down to the one point?
Yes, and I remember you were like, you need to go down and turn around. And she was like,
I was freaking hazing her because I was like, dude, like we're behind you and you just freaking cheated.
Was she 53? Did she wind up being 53?
She ended up being 53.
Because I think we chased her ass down. See you next
Tuesday. I was so pissed because I don't, you know me, I don't do well with lying and cheating.
No.
And man, like I was
livid.
I was livid. Yeah. I was absolutely livid. And then she got hurt and I was like, fuck you.
Karma, bitch.
You're going to be 53.
Here, Jessica, whatever your name is, chase her now.
Right? I was pissed. I was so pissed about that. It was the first time I'd ever seen somebody cheat in a race. I'm like, why are you even bothering doing this if you're going to cheat?
But I guess since we ran it in 2018, they've now cut that long out and back part off, and they've added a little smaller lollipop loop that kind of nestles on the south side of Whitefish Lake and the river. Yeah. And then they come back and then they do the out and back. I mean,
our out and back was beautiful because, you know, we ran, you know, parallel to Whitefish Lake the entire time.
And lots of greenery.
Lots of greenery. But maybe the reason why they stopped that out and back is because when Lorri and I ran it, we kept hearing, so like you had some houses very, very sporadic. I mean, it was hardly any not a lot of people.
Yeah.
But there was like a kind of like a drop on our going out on our left side. You know, we had the lake on our left side. Then we had kind of like a you know, like a ridge line. There was elevation above us, like, you know, like a decent sized cliff, but it was maybe like 50 feet up, and we kept hearing rocks falling and knowing that there were animals up above us.
Yeah, I'm like I feel like something's stalking us right now.
And
we're running.
It was mostly when we were running back.
Yeah.
And we kept hearing the rocks moving. And I was like, holy shit, dude. And then we were convinced it's a fucking cat. It's got to be a big cat.
Yeah.
It's too small to be a bear, right? Like, you know, we would hear it in the woods. We're like, that's a cat. It's like a cat stalking us. Oh my God. Dude, I think we had like negative splits on that part of the run.
Yeah. No, there was definitely very nerve-wracking.
Fear factor.
Yeah,
it was a fear factor. Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
But it was very, very remote. So maybe that's a reason why they changed it. But who knows? You know. But yeah, I mean, in the elevation of that race, you know, it went from like 3,040 feet to 3,277.
Yeah, so it's really not bad, even though you're right there with the mountains.
It wasn't bad, but when you look at least the course that we did, it was just a lot of little hills up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
There were more like just like a lot of hill paper cuts. But it just got to the point where you're like, okay, like I'm kind of done with the little hills, you know.
Yeah.
But
it was a pretty course.
It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And even though, you know, we came in, you know, almost at the very, very end of the race, right? Yes. The staff, they still had food waiting for us.
If you remember, we were like, at the moment, we were local celebrities.
We were.
Because I think Jessica in the chase car was like, dude, these chicks are drinking beer.
And they're Philly girls. Because it was a Sunday.
Beer.
It was a Sunday during football season.
Yes.
And we were all decked out in our Eagles gear.
Well, they had just won the Super Bowl.
Yep. And
in all reality, we had just won our first Super Bowl, and that was a big deal.
And we were wearing all of our
and they
gear.
had a game that day.
Yeah.
Didn't we watched the game at
the
Airbnb after?
It was recorded. Do you remember? We were like, la 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 la, don't tell us what happened. And then we lost.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But we were singing, you know, the Eagles fight song as part of like our music repertoire, and they started radio, and Dave went and said, oh yeah, they're calling you guys the Philly girls.
Yeah.
Philly girls are coming down the hill.
But this is like the very polar opposite of what we experienced in Hartford. Like they were
bipolar opposite.
So supportive. They had food waiting for us, drinks. Like it was sparse, but there was still stuff there and it was available. They were closing down a little bit, and I would expect them to, but they were still supportive of their runners.
They not only had the food for us, but it was like covered in foil.
Yeah.
So that like, you know, like bugs and whatever wouldn't get at it. And then I recall that they still had like a massage person that was there. Like I think they had offered, and you and I were like, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, we never do that.
But yeah, I mean, like they they still had everything left for us, and they still had everything left for that see you next Tuesday that that cheated on the course. And even when she came across the finish line, I was like, oh, congratulations for a cheater. So, but yeah, I mean, I just overall, fantastic race. Now,
wait, but I think we skipped over one important thing from that race. Though.
What's that?
Our start. I mean, I know we talked about the start, but this is probably one of the most notorious starts that we had. And it wasn't because of me. For once, I was not the one that delayed us.
I was in the porta potty. I was having some issues, and every time I would come out of the porta potty, I was like, I gotta go back into the porta potty, and
the national anthem's happening. The national
anthem happened
she's
while
in the
I was in the porta potty, and I was like, oh my god! And you were outside, and you're like, yeah, are you almost done? Like, so when I finished, we ran from the porta johns. And we didn't there wasn't even like a corral anymore. We just ran right in through to the start and just started going.
Yes. Yep.
So that was our Porta John start. That was classic, man. Yeah.
But just to go retroactive on that too, like I'm just glad we were even able to start because getting to the start line was extremely stressful for this marathon. In early August, 2018 was a really tough wildfire season for that area in Glacier.
Tough.
And there was a lightning strike that put the Howell Ridge fire that burned several acres. I think that one burned almost 5,000 acres. And then there was
the Boundary Fire.
The Boundary Fire, and that was almost 3,000 acres. I think it was almost like 8,000 acres total that burned. It
was a lot.
I think.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of correspondence with the race about air quality leading up to that because there was a lot of particulate matter in the air.
We learned way too much about particulate matter.
Yeah.
And what's a good level versus a bad level.
Yeah.
And
we were worried that there was a high probability that we were going to be unable to race
because it's unsafe. Because it's unsafe to go and run and just even be outside and breathe, that air.
And that was all mostly in Glacier National Park, which is why, one of the most, if you Google right now, sit down at your computer and Google most beautiful drives in the United States, guaranteed. Probably in the top 3.
At least in the top 3.
If not the top. If not the top, you will see Going to the Sun Road in Glacier National Park. It's
spectacular.
Yeah.
It's spectacular.
Take your breath away. Yes. It's amazing. And I do believe now Glacier requires, I think it's a permit or reservation now to drive it.
Just to go and not have the crowds. Because the national parks are very crowded post-COVID. Very crowded.
So we, Going to the Sun Road was closed. I was terrified we weren't going to be able to do it at all. So the day...
You and Dave went, it was closed.
So Dave and I hiked on the 14th. The race was on the 16th. On the 15th, I think you and me and Dave decided to kind of, we picked up our bibs.
Yep.
Which there's not really an expo.
It's very small.
Yeah, it's just a bib pickup at it's almost like a local YMCA, but I think it was called the Wave or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we went out to Lake McDonald.
We did.
And it's so beautiful.
This was a moment.
It was.
This was like one of those moments that we totally remember. So Dave being Dave,
it's a core memory.
Yeah, Dave being Dave, started yucking it up with a bunch of people who were visiting, and he wasn't on the dock. And there's this long dock that you can walk out. And you and I went to the end of the dock, and we were like, we're going to put our feet in the water. And the water was frigid. Crystal clear. And you can see,
it's just a mountain backdrop.
It was just spectacular.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Yeah, so we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, there's other people walking out on the dock, and you can feel a little vibration. You're like, okay. And then this guy starts, what was it?
He was playing the ukulele.
He had a ukulele, and he starts singing.
Big guy.
And he's singing, and it's just...
I just got goosebumps.
It was just a vibe. He was singing beautifully, and he was just... ad-libbing.
It was chill. It was just chill ad-lib
Singing. He was whistling. We have a video of this too, because I started videoing like the landscape because I was like, oh my gosh, he sounds amazing.
Yeah. And it I don't know, the whole vibe like matched with what we were experiencing like visually.
Yes.
And it was a band called Treehouse. They're actually, you looked it up the other day. They are still active.
Oh yeah, they're going. I think they have a date in Whitefish this fall.
Yeah,
I think they're going back to Whitefish.
And the whole reason, and so we talked to the group, and so the whole reason why they were in the park is because they were playing in Whitefish, I believe that night.
Yeah.
But we didn't go because it was the night before the marathon.
Yeah.
But one of their band members, it was his birthday, and he had asked for everybody to go into the park for his birthday.
Yes.
That day. So, yeah, that was just one of those like, oh my God, like I just always remember that moment.
We were being serenaded in a national park, but it was just the right vibe of music.
Yeah, we totally were. And the I don't know, the whole experience of being at Lake McDonald, seeing like the crystal clear water, it just made you appreciate, just nature in its finest. And I don't know. I know you and I go to a ton of these national parks together, and that one just it was just so pristine. Oh, but again, you could still see the smoke, like in the backdrop.
You could actually see. Wasn't it like some of the mountain on the left side of Lake McDonald
was where it had been charred.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could see. Yeah. It was very sad. It's sad, but it's also part of the ecosystem, because the day after we ran, Dave decided to work all day.
Yes.
And we went around to the east side of the park, but didn't we start? We went around.
We went to Sunrift Gorge.
Yeah, first.
Yeah, and then we went to St. Mary's and the Virginia Falls Trail. Yeah,
but I think we thought that going to the Sun Road was closed, but it turned out that they had reopened it.
And I can't remember. I think maybe like we had come across like some people who had mentioned that they came on that road, and you were like, oh my God.
Yeah. So we decided to do like low hanging fruit. Although I think that the St. Mary's and the Virginia Falls hike, that wound up being around 4 miles, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But that was in a previously burned area.
That was wild.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was wild seeing like all of the vegetation coming back to life. I mean, it was still so young.
Fall flowers.
There was, and it was a lot of yellow because of the aspen, but they were like really low lying versus like being, like the full trees. But everything had been charred. But this was like an older fire,
right,
where the forest was coming back.
Yeah,
and it was a cool experience because it was kind of eerie, but it made you realize like, man, this place like was like burning,
Yeah. But it was beautiful.
Yeah, so we went on some crazy hiking the next day, kind of like burning up that lactic acid. And would you say like we did 12 and a half miles the next day?
Something like that.
Yeah. We hiked a lot.
We hiked a lot.
And
then we went to Logan's Pass, and it was funny because we go up to Logan's Pass, and there are these huge sticks. On the side of the road.
Huge.
And when I say huge, I'm thinking 20 feet, 30
feet tall.
Tall, these sticks on the side of the road. And I'm
all aligned along the
I wonder
shoulder.
what this is for. This is so weird. So we're driving up to Logan's Pass, and we do the visitor center, and we're checking that out. Because I'm leaving here with something.
That's right.
I'm not just going. I have to. I have to get my stamp.
Lori gets a stamp every national park.
Every national park. Yeah.
Yep. And I get my ornament because I have a travel tree.
Yes.
For Christmas, and all of my ornaments are from all of my trips.
And I think we went in there and we're like, "What's up with the sticks?"
Yeah. And somebody was like, oh, that's for when the snow removal comes and they can actually like understand where the side of the road is. And we're like, wait, what? The snow gets that high?
Well, that road is closed in the winter. You can't even get up there.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah. Dude, that was crazy.
But the fact that the snow gets that high.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Yeah, I think you and I had a great appreciation for
we were like
this is what it means to be in Montana,
yes.
But that was absolutely beautiful. I know we grabbed some lunch by the waterfalls.
Yeah.
And just kind of sat and chilled, and that was a good day.
That was a very good day.
That was a really good day, and I was glad. I mean, some people are like, oh my gosh, I can't walk the next day after a marathon. It's really good to get out and walk and get your body moving around and not be sedentary, because you can be more sore.
I
from
feel
not
like
doing
we
things.
were I know I was way more sedentary on my first few marathons.
Absolutely.
But the more that I did, the more I realized, where can I walk the next day?
Yes.
It's not what you want to do.
Got to get it moving.
But I think that's where these destination races come into play, because you want to be out doing things.
Yeah. But, you're only there for a couple of days, and you want to be able to go and see the sights. So.
And then, did you leave early the next morning?
I did. I flew out, and you and Dave stayed for an extra day.
Yeah. I wanted to do one more hike. Wanted to do the Highline Trail. I think it was the Highline Trail to the Granite Run Trail. I think it took you about a Granite Park Trail. It's about 12. That's a 12.5 mile hike, but it's one way. So I had this great idea. I'm like, we're gonna hike, and the Highline is like one of those. It starts at Logan Pass, which is like on the Continental Divide.
Right.
So you start high, so you're not really climbing any elevation up, but you run the ridge line, and then you come down. But then we were gonna have to hitchhike our way back to Logan's Pass. But there's a lot of people, and it's I guess a common thing. So we were being adventuresome. We were in a hitchhike. Don't tell the kids. Don't ever do that at home. Anyway, so we get up in the morning and we head out. We start hiking. Oh my God, this trail is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, gorgeous, because it's really, you're hiking along the prettiest parts of the Going to the Sun Road, but along the ridge line on the top.
Yeah. So the views are just spectacular the whole time. Yeah.
And we're seeing billy goats. Those white billy goats are beautiful. I think we saw like one of the bighorn sheep.
Bighorn.
Yeah. I mean, it was no bears that day, thank God.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. We did meet a lovely couple, though.
Bob and Cherry.
God, I love them.
You'll hear about Bob and Cherry in future episodes when we talk about our hike in Peru through the Inca Trail.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Like, we were just hiking, and we were kind of hiking along at the same pace. So we struck up a conversation, and they're probably, how old would you say they are?
They're
like
70s, early 70s,
early mid. They're probably mid
70s now.
Mid 70s now, but like just really like. I don't know, like instant bond.
Yeah.
We were just having this lovely conversation.
Super personable couple.
Yeah, like he's a geologist, and he had kind of worked
like
in
Sunoco,
big oil.
right?
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
Like
it was somebody, as big oil. And so like he was talking to us about the geology of Glacier, which was super cool. We were taking pictures of each other. So
and Cherry was like 70 and did CrossFit.
Yeah. Well, she's a badass.
Yeah, and anytime we talk about like getting old, what do we say?
I choose Cherry. Cherry is my model of what I want to be like in my 70s. Mm-hmm. If I can be anything, I want to be Cherry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, every woman should have inspirational women on how to age gracefully.
Yes, totally agree.
Yeah, and Cherry is that person.
Yep.
So anyway, we're all hanging out, doing our thing, bonding. We exchanged numbers and email addresses because we've been taking pictures of each other so that we could share, when we're back into reality. And then Dave lingers back because he has to use the restroom. And I would say we're probably at the 6 mile mark.
Dave has to use the restroom a lot.
Yeah, that's a common theme with Dave.
It's okay.
Yeah, it is. So we're maybe halfway, not quite halfway. And Dave, on his way back from the bathroom, I hear him yell, and he goes down, and he completely twists, like wrecks his ankle. Doesn't need surgery, not that wrecked, but like an extreme twisted ankle, like having a hard time walking on it. And at this point, Bob and Cherry are like, we're on a hike too, but we got to get back. They were very kind, very nice, and very attentive, and tried to do what they could. And we're like, no, like you absolutely go ahead. But I think we were at that weird point where we weren't sure if we should go back or just keep going. And so we decided to keep going. I think Bob gave him one of his trekking poles to kind of help take the pressure off his ankle. 9 hours. It took us 9 hours. he hiked 6 miles on an ankle that
Dude,
I
that
can't
thing
imagine how
looked
painful that was.
like afterward when he sent the pictures, it looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow
Yeah.
Man's like foot. Like there was no even like seeing like toes or anything. It was
No.
that swollen.
And like I happened to get lucky because we were starting to get nervous. I mean, like again, 9 hours. I'm like, shit, we're out here. Nobody knows we're out here. We don't have any supplies. Yeah,
That sounds like a common theme,
I mean,
Lori.
we had snacks. We had a lot of snacks and water. We had ample water and ample sacks. But like, we're not ready for an overnight in Glacier National Park, if you know what I mean. And so like, I'm like, okay, what should we do here? I wind up being on the ridgeline, catching signal for a moment, and I was able to pull up I had like a piece of paperwork or map or something that had the
emergency number.
Yeah,
Like a ranger,
park ranger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ranger station.
I love our park rangers.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
I love our park rangers, and I hope that they're still there.
Yeah.
Because we need them. Anyhow, so I was able to contact somebody. I'm like, listen, we're on the Highline Trail. We're going to Granite Run Trail. We're coming down. He's got a severely sprained ankle. He does
At that
not.
point in time, you didn't even know if it was broken or not. Right?
Yeah, we didn't know. But he
Yeah.
didn't want to take his boot off either because it was he could tell it was swelling, and we knew the minute he took his boot off,
He was going to be done.
Yeah. So I'm like, do we need to airlift you? And he's like, fuck no. Like, no. Nobody's airlifting me off of this mountain. So like, we're hiking. We would take breaks. I would sit in front of him, and he would prop his foot up on my shoulder just to elevate it for a little bit.
Yeah, it's bad.
And the whole time, I mean, during this 9 hours, I'm thinking, dude, I just ran a marathon 2 days before, but I can't complain because he's in so much pain. And this is all my stupid ass idea that I have to do this hike. And the scenery is beautiful, but you can't really enjoy it because my husband's in pain. It was a very conflicting thing, but
you ended up getting out of it.
We got out. The sun was setting, so it was getting dark, and we had an amazing ranger, and I can't remember his name, but I can probably zoom in on he probably had a name badge on in the picture. I took a picture. He brought crutches out to Dave, and he met us with about 2 miles left, got us out, helped get us out, drove us back to the car, and then I flew, you would have been so nervous, down the Going to the Sun road to get him to an emergency room. And while this is going on and I'm stressed, Glacier is putting on this majestic fucking show.
Oh, because of the sun setting.
Because of the sun setting. And along, I think it's called the Garden Wall, is like that ridge line we had been hiking around along.
Yeah.
It's just granite rock. There is this beautiful cloud that's like catching the sun that's starting to creep over it like it's a cauldron on the other side kind of feel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking spectacular. I'm like, are you okay, babe? He's in the back seat. He's like, I'm fine. I'm like, can you look out the window? Because this is so beautiful right now.
He's like, just get me the emergency room.
But anyway, so that was the deal.
Well, like, and so for those of us who have hiked, then after that with Dave, you always make sure that you're behind Dave, because you never want Dave to be like behind you, because like Dave's like a little bit more prone to going and like, kind of tripping and falling and stuff, because he's had other incidents that have happened.
Yeah.
So,
we make him wear high top
boots
for the stability to his ankles.
Yeah.
But even still, I always am like 6 feet.
Yes.
Stay 6 feet away from me, because I don't want you slide tackling me, because you can hear him. You'll hear him walk.
And I was like, and we're like, oh,
son of a bitch, Dave.
In fact, I think during COVID, I saved up like all this bubble wrap from like all of like our Amazon purchases, and I wrapped myself in bubble wrap with like, and did like a beer like cheers to Dave. So that was like I sent the picture just as a funny picture. Like seriously, we saved up like bubble wrap for like a month to go and send that picture to Dave.
That was because he had that crazy bike accident.
had a bike accident and had a crazy bruise and, so forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we were very happy that one, you had a ranger that, helped take care of you guys. And and then Dave had enough grit to go and hike out of that. Cause we know that anytime you have an injury like that, I mean, that's
bad.
Yeah.
I also now hike with ace bandage.
And an
inReach.
And an inReach.
An inReach, yeah.
Yes.
I use an inReach, and I also have an ace bandage every time I hike with
Yes.
my husband,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is you just always have to be prepared for anything that could happen to you. And, and then just have a way to go and contact people. But, sometimes that isn't always possible, especially when you're out in the wilderness.
Yeah. But the Garmin inReach is
Garmin inReach is the thing. So, okay. So, what the swag, we have these neon yellow shirts on,
which most people would look at and probably be like, wow, that's a lot. I actually,
these are our
love
favorite
it.
shirts.
Oh yeah. Mine's kind of pulled and jacked up now from hiking in it so much.
I have pulls on mine as well.
But I can't get rid of this.
No,
and stains.
and I have stains too on it, man. It's but anytime Lorri and I are hiking, we're in backcountry, these are the shirts that we wear because they're just
you can't miss us.
You fall off the side of a cliff. It's like, oh, there she is. It's just easy to find you.
Yeah. But I love this shirt.
Yeah, this and it's a V-neck too, and I'm not usually a V-neck gal, but it's a high V-neck.
It's a high V-neck, so it's okay. I feel like.
Yeah.
And I love the medals.
Yeah.
Of course, we were two bears, so we have a bear
they have
on
bears
ours.
on our medals, and the colors are kind of woodsy. The ribbons are green with some orange writing, and it's a solid medal. I liked it that it had a bear on it. Just because the race was called Two Bears.
Exactly.
No. Would you run?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I would totally go and do this
100%. As a matter of fact, I want to do this again.
Yeah.
We need to figure out when we can schedule to do this again.
Yeah. No, this was an absolutely fantastic race. Would totally do it again in a heartbeat. So.
Yes.
All right, girl. Did we miss anything? I mean, I don't. For folks listening, we went a little long today, but
there was just a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about, and I think the cool thing is that with these races, sometimes it's the small races that go and give you, some of the biggest gifts, and us going to Glacier and getting a couple days in there, even though despite Dave getting injured, it's like you got into it,
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
I want to go back so bad, just to Glacier.
I know. And Jim.
I want to do a hut hike because they have those chalets, the two chalets there.
See, now it was probably good that Jim didn't go to Glacier with us because now it's like, Jim, we're doing the national parks. You have to go to Glacier. See, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
I was a little upset that he didn't come with us, at the time, but now it's a good thing. So.
Yeah, well, he would have had a good time because Dave did fish while we ran.
He would have. Yeah, he would have. But I don't know if Jim was really fishing at the time.
That's
as
true.
well. But all right, anything else we missed?
No, I think we're good. What's next?
All right, well, next week we are talking about the Rock and Roll Savannah Marathon. And, so Lorri and I both ran the Savannah Marathon at different times.
Yes.
So we did not run this race together, just again because of the timing, of our sequencing of races.
Yes.
But we will do all things Savannah. Now, the cool thing is that next weekend, coincidentally, I am doing a girls trip with a couple of girls that I used to work with, and we've done this annual trip. And it just so happened that the West Point trip and the work trip, the work girls trip, ended up coinciding, back to back weekends, and we're going to Savannah.
Nice.
And the other cool thing is that Jim and I lived in Savannah for 3 years. So kind of going back to, the stomping grounds, a little bit. But we will cover all things Savannah next week. So
it'll probably be a little shorter.
Yes, it'll be a lot
since
shorter.
We don't have any mutual stories.
Yeah. but again, talking about Savannah and the really cool things, and just Savannah's really
it's a great town.
Yeah, and it's really come into its own. Even since we lived there, back in the 90s. But hey, we greatly appreciate everybody joining us. Again, check us out on our socials. We not only have pictures that Maggie posts for us on Instagram and Facebook about, that kind of coincide with all of our stories. We'll even post a picture of Dave's ginormous ankle. But we're also on video. So, if you want to go and check us out in person, I guess person but recorded.
On YouTube?
On YouTube.
Yes.
So we were there.
And subscribe.
And subscribe, yes. So, hey, thanks again. And go make Mile 20 your bitch this week.
Peace out.